Hi tribe, welcome back to my channel. Ke nna Mapalomaku, a personal finance expert and published author of the book Behind Us, of course. So today I want to talk about the 6 middle class financial traps to avoid, okay? And I'm going to list them and go through each and every one of them. So I think a lot of people are middle class, and people who watch this channel are mostly middle class. So I thought, let me do a video talking about some of the traps that we should be avoiding. Okay, I think also I consider myself middle class, so this applies to me as well, and to you, Pam. All right, the first one: buying for more than you can comfortably afford. And this, I'm talking about cars, I'm talking about purchasing houses as well, because in actual fact these are the two biggest expenditures that middle class people have. It's their cars and their houses. All right, so it is all wonderful and all, we want to drive the nicest car, we want to live in the nicest house, but we often forget that there is still life, right? There's still other things that you need to do so that you can enjoy your life, right? So the mistake that people often do or often make, number one, when it comes to a house, they will buy at the very top of their budget. If the bank says you qualify for 3 million, you go right on ahead and buy for 3 million. Whereas the solution normally is, if you qualify for 3 million, go for 2.5 million instead, so that it gives you room to enjoy yourself, to enjoy the morning coffee, to go on holiday with your family. So what happens? You buy at 3 million, you still want to do all this other stuff, the coffee, the lunches, the dinners, the holidays, and everything else, sending your kids to good schools and all, but you have bought at the very top of your budget. And how do you fund the rest? How do you fund the rest? Which brings me to my second point. But let's just finish off. Even with cars, same thing. We are always buying at the very top of our budget. Instead, go for something that is a bit less, something that you can afford, because you have to maintain this thing. You have to run this household. If things break, it's on you. You're not going to call a landlord, okay? So that is one of the biggest traps we find ourselves in. And I often say this, that, you know, the cars and the houses that we live in, we end up being prisoners to them, because you are just literally making it to pay the house and to pay the car. Okay, so try to avoid it by all means. Always buy for less than you can actually afford, so that it gives you room to still enjoy your life. All right, so which brings me to the second point. So because we've bought right at the top of our budget, now we still want to do everything else. Then what do? We fund our lifestyle with debt. So that is point number 2, a trap middle class people should avoid: funding lifestyle with debt. So now this is where people end up using their credit card just so that they can get through the month, using an overdraft just so that they can get through the month, even taking out personal loans just so that, you know, you can maintain this lifestyle that is looking good on the outside, but inside, you know, you are in pain, you know that you cannot sleep peacefully at night. So I think really this is one of the biggest problems we have in this country and pretty much everywhere, that we want to look good outside and we're funding all of these things through debt. And remember, the problem with debt, especially this type of debt, is that it doesn't bring anything in, right? It doesn't grow your income. Your assets are not growing. You are basically spending it on lifestyle. You're spending it at Konka. You are spending it at, what's the other restaurants that are a room, and all sorts of places where, you know, it looks amazing. You're spending it on hair. You're spending it on nails. You know, nothing wrong with all of those, as long as it is all within your means. Remember the last video I did, I spoke about the personal finance principles, living below your means. Okay, so do not fund your lifestyle with debt. If you are in that type of situation, you really need to ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? What do I want my personal finance life to look like in the next 5 years? Will I still be complaining about the same things, still having sleepless nights? Only you can change that. No one is coming to save you. Okay, absolutely no one. So the third one, not having an emergency fund. We've spoken about it over and over, and I'll keep on talking about it. Not having an emergency fund. is disastrous. Actually, did I tell you I stupidly, I was reversing and I reversed into a pole and I broke the lamp on my car. Yeah, you saw on Instagram, right? Yeah. So if I didn't have an emergency fund, I would have freaked out. I would have just been so pissed off. Actually, I was still very much pissed off, even though I do have an emergency fund, because it's money that I don't want to be spending, and it was like a stupid thing. But exactly to my point, that sometimes emergencies, it was a stupid, silly thing. I wasn't paying attention. I was talking, reversing, trying to do multiple tasks at the same time. I know I cannot do that, clearly. And lo and behold, I smashed into a pole. Now, it's going to cost me about 8 grand to fix that. If I didn't have an emergency fund, what would my alternatives be? My alternatives would either be, hey, Pam, can I borrow money this month? Or my alternative would be, oh, let me use my credit card, or let me use the overdraft facility, right? That's how people fall into debt. It's not because sometimes, oh, I'm actively looking to get into debt. Things happen, small things. You reverse into your light, and now you have to pay for that, but you didn't budget for it. So the only way is to access credit. So make sure that you have an emergency fund. So that is number 3. Number 4, and I think this is one of the most important things that middle class people do. They do not invest. People do not invest, and I've seen it so many times, over and over and over and over again. People will even have money in their bank account because it feels safe, right? I think that illusion of safety keeps people from investing. So we think, no, my money's safe. So let's say you put 5,000 in a savings account. At the end of the year, you have 5,200 bucks, and you think, oh, great, I didn't lose money and I made 200 rand. In actual fact, what is the buying power of that money at the end of the year? I bet you it has decreased because of inflation. So by not investing, you are literally shooting yourself in the foot. You are literally saying, you know what, I will have less money in the future. That's what you're doing by not investing, by not using compound interest. And I think really we do not get how compound interest works. I think we don't. So you know what? I'll give this example with Warren Buffett. He started investing, I think, from the age of 14. But he really started becoming a multi-millionaire, I think, after the age of 35, right? Because compounding in those years, it was just working and working. There's a point where your money multiplies so quickly because of compounding. And I think if you can grasp that idea, you'll see why it is so important to start investing. But equally so, the idea or the concept of inflation. Inflation is brutal on money. It is brutal, okay? If you compare 5 years ago how much you used to buy a loaf of bread for, you will see, and it will compel you to start investing. So for me, I always say, start with what you can, okay? Start with a tax-free savings account. It is 3,000 Rand per month, or you can even start small with a 500 Rand amount. But start investing. I started investing when I started working. I used to invest in Centrix, and I used to put 350 Rand away. And you'd be surprised just how much that money has grown. Started small and started building up, but compound interest has worked its magic, and I see how powerful it is. So start investing, all right? Then number 5, trying to get rich quick. Hey, middle class, we love, like, just, if I can just put money in here, then tomorrow, a month later, they're going to offer me an interest of 25%. Guys, you will always get banned. Yeah. That's why people go for Ponzi schemes. That's why people love, this crypto stuff, Bitcoin, because it sounds sexy. It is making a lot of money. You want that, and you haven't even done the basic stuff. And remember what I always say. When people start asking me about crypto, when they start asking me about Forex, I say, have you done the basic stuff? Do you have a budget? Do you have an emergency fund? Are you paying off your debt? You know, there's a list that you have to tick off before you can start talking about crypto, about Forex, and all of these things that sound sexy, right? Because there is what you call diversification when it comes to personal finance. So meaning you have a little bit of cash for your goals, you have some equity, you have some retirement money, then that portion, you've done everything right in the beginning, the foundational stuff. Now the Forex stuff is saying, okay, let me dabble just a little bit because it's higher risk. Let me dabble in it with a small amount of money, okay? So trying to get rich quick is not going to get you anywhere. It's only going to get you in trouble, okay? And oftentimes, we know that this thing is a Ponzi scheme. We know it is a Ponzi scheme, but yet you're like, no, but this one is going to work out because it's me. Ma'am, sir, there's nothing special about you. You will be taken for a ride and you will not get your money back. And the thing with Ponzi schemes, the thing with get rich quick schemes is that you are not immune to it. I'm not immune to it. I actually, a couple of years ago, I think this 4 years ago now, I had a client. This woman was a director in one of the construction companies, one of the biggest construction companies in SA. She took out her entire preservation money to go and put it in this scheme or Ponzi scheme, and she was like, no, that company is going to be registered with the Financial Services Board. It was called that at that time. And she kept on putting money. I think the first couple of times she did get some money back. So she felt like, you know what, I'm going to take this 500,000 that I have in my preservation fund and put it in here. Do you know she did not get it back? She did not. And she phoned me. No. Basically, she was trying to convince herself. And I said, ma'am, just make peace with it. You are never going to get that money back. Okay? So do not try to get rich quick. Don't. It doesn't work. Okay? Then the last thing, and a very emotional topic, I'm doing a disclaimer already. It's a middle class financial trap, okay? And I say it's a trap because oftentimes we find ourselves in a rut because of it. And what am I talking about? Black tax or family tax. And I know it is such an emotional topic. I know some people like, oh, are you telling me that I shouldn't help my family? No. That's not what I'm saying. And even with myself, through the help of my sisters, my siblings, that's how I got to finish university. So I know the importance of helping family. But I say it's a trap as soon as it starts becoming too much, where you cannot even do anything for yourself, where you are stressed out, and most times people end up becoming resentful. There is a part where it doesn't make sense anymore, where people know that they can come to you for anything and everything under the sun, and you will say yes, and even if it is at your own peril. I think that's where it becomes a trap. So what is the solution to black tax? I think honesty, having open conversations with your family and saying, hey, you know what, I actually cannot do that. I think there is so much shame when it comes to black families, when it comes to families, to say, actually, I don't make that much money. I might look like I do, but actually I don't. So don't be ashamed to say, I can't right now. And also having boundaries. Setting boundaries is so important when it comes to black tax. Saying to your family that, okay, this is what I can afford to do on a month-to-month basis. And on such a date, I'll make sure that this payment has gone through. But beyond that, please see how else you can make this happen. And you know, in life, I've seen there are people who don't have boundaries so much that they know that people will come throughout the month and they will even use their credit card. They'll even go into overdraft. For me, that is not help. That is absolutely not help. So you have to set boundaries. You have to communicate. You have to be honest, not only with those around you, but with yourself in terms of what is it that you can do exactly, right? So I know, as always, it's a very emotional topic. I know some people are completely traumatized from black tax, but I think with everything, you have to have that self-esteem in yourself to say, you know what, I will not go further than this, and it is okay, and not feel so horrible. You know, I often laugh and say with my friends that there has to be a space where you're comfortable in saying no and you don't feel guilty. You don't feel bad, you don't feel horrible, like a horrible person. I think in each and every one of us, there has to be a space where we are completely comfortable with saying no. I know with myself, I'm very comfortable with saying no for most things. I like, I will say no and it won't hurt. But I know for some people's personalities, it's very hard. So you have to find that space for yourself and say, if I have 200 rand in my account, the answer is going to be no. Maybe next month I'll be able to help you. So what financial trap have you found yourself in as a middle class family, as a middle class person? And what are you looking forward to avoiding if you are kind of moving up in the world? I hope those tips or those traps that I've mentioned, they will be helpful to you. If you find yourself in either one of the traps, you can change. You can change your situation. You're not a tree. You can't just say I'm stuck forever and ever. You're not a tree that you can't move. You can actually do something about it. So thank you so much for watching, and I will definitely see you soon. Remember to subscribe and do the whole thing. Cheers for now.